I had my feet up on the couch in front of our 50-inch LG plasma TV, because that's what I like to do. On the TV was Guy Fieri, lapping at his digits while his eyes bulged as big as donuts as he tore into a monster burger and tried to tell me how good it was. My eyes glossed over in luxurious delight. I dreamed about grilling up my own slab of juicy beef infused with cheese and onions. Lady friend, also known as LF, who was breezing about the apartment while talking on her cell, has us on this whacked out diet and exercise program. When we eat, it's like we're grazing a field, so I really needed to take that trip through the TV and be at Guy's side. Steps away from me in the dining room, the pizza and Chinese delivery guys, aka Numb and Nuts, were bouncing in their chairs, frothed up and effervescing over this guy they had over, whom I'm calling a friend, to be nice. I think his name is Morgan, but I was trying not to pay attention, as I always do when he's around. Morgan's lofty papaya orange hair was bobbing. "I'm an inventor," he said to me like he hadn't said it 50 times before, and in his cartoonish manner, as it seemed he spoke with his tongue pressed to his teeth, he fingered a bright yellow styrofoam orb he had brought with him. It looked like planet Saturn with its rings attached, and he kept looking at me because he's one of those types that has to look at strangers when he talks. You know them. You're buying a pack of Trident layers at CVS, and he's talking to the checkout girl and looking back at you with his batty eyes like he thinks you give a crap. "Ideas just come to me, and I invent them," Morgan said, sounding like a daft parrot. Okay, whatever. He held Planet Saturn by the rings, dressed in purple skinny jeans and a flaming yellow shirt, and with his wacky hairstyle, he looked like an exotic bird. "I invented this. It's like an indoor frisbee. It's called feces." I raised my brow. "It's squishy, soft, and fun." Morgan said, and tossed a feces or whatever it was, because that's what it sounded like he was calling it. The orb circled the room and came back to him. I was pretty impressed. Morgan smiled, mashing the feces into a smaller ball while Numb and Nuts chortled along. "It's fun. I can play with my hands," he said, and held up the feces, which retained its smaller shape. "It comes back to you so I can play with it all by itself." He bounced it off the wall, caught it, and then began windmilling his right arm, while he extended his left arm with both wrists crooked. He kicked out his stiff and straight left leg. It looked like he was a soldier preparing for some strange march. I leaned closer to the TV, focusing hard on Guy Fieri, and hoped to be drawn in by his punky ebullience. "How funny, right?" Morgan said. "And yay, He tossed the feces, and to my dismay, he hit the wall just above my TV. He then stomped his feet in place and caught the feces on the return bounce. He stared at me like he was trying to burn a hole in my noggin. Numb and Nuts saw him staring, and they focused on me like I was a bug on the tips of their noses. I felt like I was locked in a clown car. I was about to lay into Morgan and take a shot at Numb and Nuts when LF came into the room with a big tray of snacks. She wore a gracious smile and looked upon us with eyes of splendor. I tried to relax, knowing if I yelled at the Troika from Bizarro Land, it would ruin her mood, and she would tear into moi. "You don't remember me, Morgan said, and gave a thin, derisive smile. "You really don't." Numb and Nuts guffawed like they were paid to. LF set down the tray loaded with pita chips and various dips on the dining room table. She smiled upon us like we were one happy family. Morgan shuffled his feet while smacking the tips of his shoes against the floor. He sang, "I come to town the other night, I hear a noise, it's all the fight." Every muscle in my body stiffened. A dream I had just last night about my past life in the 1850s came back to me. I had dreamed about that house, that strange house. It was located in Brooklyn, less than a mile from our firehouse. If only I would have passed it by, but I couldn't resist. It was early evening in the spring of 1854. I had been ambulating upon a road overlooking the Brooklyn wharves by the mouth of the East River. I was gazing upon a forest of masts, including those across the river that stopped just short of Battery Park, which encompassed the tip of Manhattan. A promenade ran along that shoreline, and no ships docked there. Some strange bit of starry light drew my attention. It stirred in the sky and then dropped down into the trees not 100 yards away. I detoured off the road and through a field toward the light. Laughter resounded from some unseen gathering. The light zipped out of sight. Just then I came upon a large farmhouse in freshly tilled land. Up the dirt road that ran past the farm I traced the frolicsome sounds to an old red schoolhouse. The laughter and cries from inside its walls were astounding. The planking seemed to be vibrating from all the exuberance. I had to pay a tall, rail-thin man to gain entrance. They were having a minstrel performance in the open first floor. I headed to a makeshift bar and ordered a spiced rum that seemed to wake my every sense. At the center of the hubbub, a man dressed in tattered clothes and wearing blackface was singing, dancing, and kicking up dust. A maniacal light flickered behind his eyes. It was him. It was Dan. Morgan began to sing, breaking my reverie, and I found myself caught between the past and the present. His old sand sucker, his horn says sound, he swings the ladies round and round. He swings one east, he swings one west, he swings with the ones he loves the best. I heard old Dan's laughter in my head. Old Dan touches the final slow, a buckskin belly and a rubber asshole. Swallow a barrel of cider down, and then he shit all over town. Morgan finished singing and broke into his worst fit of laughter. He sounded just like Dan.